so good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So to start, I'm from Pittsburgh, and this show is my entire family talking about it because on the one hand, we're all like obsessed with it because it's a new doctor show we can be in love with. And on the other, we're like, there's not enough Steelers shirts in this ER for Pittsburgh. Everyone would be wearing Steelers. For you, seeing the reaction of the show, both people from Pittsburgh talking about the Pittsburgh aspects and people just becoming obsessed with it, what for you has been the most exciting part about how people are interacting with the pit?
Oh God, so much of it's so exciting. I think for me, like the because I'm from Australia, I only found out about Pittsburgh and the accent and yins and gum bands, etc. Like over the last few months. So for me, like the healthcare workers connecting to it is like crazy because I feel like I've seen like also we have healthcare workers in Australia. We don't have people from Pittsburgh in Australia. So like um watching them be like, oh, I'm so used to seeing like my job dramatized or like glamorized or like not like represented truly. And then having them be like, this is exactly what it's like is like horrifying in one part because it's not an easy job and it's really horrible in a lot of ways, really intense and painful and traumatizing. And then but it's nice for people to feel seen. Like that's really exciting, I think. But also, there's a lot of Pittsburgh details that people I think don't notice. Like Nurse Jesse, he had a little moment last episode, a few episodes ago. He's got like Pittsburgh socks on. He's got like Steelers socks, and there's like little details that you never see in the show unless you're really looking for it. And even then, I'm not sure that you'll ever see anybody's socks. But there's tiny details, I promise.
Well, it's great because I saw someone be like, why isn't HBO in the pit selling these sweatshirts? And it's like the Dr. Robbie Pittsburgh sweatshirt. And I was like, no, I will be gatekeeping that. You're not all buying a Pittsburgh sweatshirt on my watch. I will buy it, and that's just for me. But
That's a good. He's a good Halloween costume though.
it'd be everyone in Pittsburgh would have it already. It's just wearing a sweatshirt that says Pittsburgh on it. But I do love that in this show, it's first of all, I've just been like it's ER meets 24 in the best of ways because it's the hour by hour day, but it's also I grew up in the 90s. So I remember
Mhm.
watching ER with my mom, and so I'm like, this is great. It's just what I grew up watching. But I do love that like some of these characters have such full arcs within this one day. Like obviously Langdon has such a journey with him, but also we get to see her yell at her mom. And I was like, good. She yelled at her mom on her first day of work. I love that. When you get stuff like that though in a script and you're like, okay, like I know people are watching this, realizing it's one day. What is your process like in breaking down like how she's feeling, especially in that moment where it is so tense because of everything going on, and then she just kind of has that break with her own mother, and then continues on the rest of her shift.
That's such a good question. There was so much work gets taken away as an actor when you shoot chronologically, and we shoot chronologically. And so you don't have to be like, how will this feel after I've done this? I'm embarrassed about Mateo because I just asked Mateo out, and Shabana just asked Mateo out. Like that, like shooting in that order, it just like halves the workload. It's beautiful. It's such a privilege. And so with mom, there's like a real like we lived all the scenes already up until that point. The only thing we shot out of order is the final scene of the show. We shot without having read all the scripts.
Oh
Um,
my God.
so I hope that works. It's coming out today. We'll find out. Um, but aside from that, everything chronological, everything is like so meticulously thought out from the writers. And then also like Dee and I, who plays my mom, we had like a lot of conversations before we even started shooting, just like figuring out the energy, figuring out like just brainstorming about like childhood and like what the house is like and like, only child, really isolated, not many friends. All her peers are much older than her. Mum and dad work a lot. They're both doctors. Like, what is that space? And so by the time we got to that scene where I was yelling at her, I'd lived a life with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it felt really deserved and earned. And also because I think by that point the audience has seen like you've seen the hockey, no, baseball dad moment
Mhm.
where you kind of can extrapolate how much pressure she's been under and how much her parents have pushed her and made her lonely and like how complicated her relationship to all these parts of her life, which is part of the course also with raising a child is very hard, I imagine. Um, yeah, I
Well,
think that's my answer.
I have to ask because I asked Patrick this earlier, but with season two, everyone online saw Fourth of July and they were like, "Oh, there's so many things you can do." It is very important in Pittsburgh because my hometown, which is right next to it, is the firework capital of the United States of America. So I instantly was like, "Oh, this is going to be good because Newcastle's right there, and that's like a whole firework thing." For you, when you see the excitement that not only like people like me who I'm like, I know what that means for Pittsburgh, but just people in general are just so excited to see what torture these poor doctors have to go through with like a holiday weekend. How does it feel for you as an actor who knows you guys live, like you said, through this season in chronological order? Are you excited or are you like, can you guys not be as happy that these characters have to suffer for 14, 15 episodes?
I was like, I texted the props guy the other day and I was like, hey, are we gonna get like a lunch break episode? Like I was seeing all the stuff he was doing. I was like, is it just gonna be like a chill episode where we hang out, talk about what's happened, maybe debrief. Um he said no, but he was joking. I don't know. I don't know they don't tell me anything. I haven't seen anything. When I found that out that it was 4th of July, I immediately like Googled 4th of July because I don't really know what that is. I know there's booze. I know there's fireworks, red, white, and blue. I suspect it might be the day you made that giant tea in Boston, turned the ocean into tea.
No, but it was that was part of it. The 4th of July is where we're like, you know what? We're kind of done. That's the 4th of July.
Okay,
We said we're done
great.
with England. And
I've
that
got a
was
lot of research to do.
I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh wait, you're not American. Does not apply. But fireworks play a huge part in the 4th of July. I don't know why. It just became a thing.
No, I'm Australian. I know fireworks. I know homemade fireworks. It's fine. I got that.
Like that one nailed. I do love one of my favorite recent things that I learned about the pit was that you guys had no phones. So you guys had the library, and everyone's been going crazy about Noah Wiley in this library. But when you were on a set like that, and like you said, it's chronological order, you guys are trying to focus as much as you can on like the day of that these people are going through. How much does like having a phone free set help you in keeping the energy that has to kind of carry through the entire season of the pit?
Hmm. Comically, this is the riskiest question you've asked me because I'm like, do I admit that I had my phone on set?
Then season two, they're putting in those little bags that when you go into a theater and they're like, you're not allowed to use your phone.
I didn't have my phone for so long. And then I turned around one day and I was like, wait a second, everybody's got their phones. It was shocking because those scrubs have so many pockets.
Yeah.
But I have, because I'm crazy. I was like, I'm a med student. I need a notebook and a pen. And then suddenly they just started piling, like, suddenly I had like a reflex hammer. Like in all the shots, I have a reflex hammer in my pocket. Nobody will see it ever. It's bright orange and it's just peeking out my pants because only med students would carry a reflex hammer. That's what I was told. So I have a reflex hammer, like, and it's the whole thing. So my pockets were full and nobody else's pockets were full. And so they got to have their phones on them. There is a picture on Teddy's Instagram of Supriya being on her phone. And that's all I'll say about that. Yes,
Listen,
but it was great to. I think there's something about phones that make you disconnect. And, like, especially when you're on set, I'm a talker. Like, I love to connect with people. I love to hang out between takes. I'm not like an actor who needs to be like, unless it's like a really serious scene. But my scenes were always like, hee, Mateo, oh, blood. Like, so it was fine. And then, so like, I'm happy to chat between takes and like make friends. And we had also background on every day that we had background on from episode 1 to episode, what is it, 12?
yeah.
It was the same group of people. So we all like worked together and hung out and talked. And also I was new to LA. I'd never been to LA before in my life. I landed on Friday, started work on Monday. And so I was just like, I was so grateful that all these big actors couldn't have their phones and had to talk to me.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, and I also love as a fellow yapper, I love the idea of just being like, well, I can just yap with everyone because they're forced to talk to me in this situation. You can't take an email. You don't have a phone.
Try it. Yeah. Yeah. And we had like Issa's a big reader. She had a book wherever she went. She'd have a book hidden somewhere.
I love that.
But nobody else was cultured like that. It was just Issa. She's better than us. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask because you said you're recently learning that there's a whole accent and deal with Pittsburgh. Um, have you since learning attempted that accent in any way, shape, or form?
Yes.
How did it go?
The thing is, it's a very complicated accent. I I love accents. I'm Australian. Nobody's ever going to want me to act in my natural accent. So all I do is accents, and I love the Pittsburgh accent, but I also love the lingo. Your lingo is very fun, and as an Australian, our lingo is very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like really exciting to. Oh, what else did I learn? People have been telling me them, and I've been like
Well,
not
there's
holding on to
Yins, which is like
Yin's.
our y'all.
Yeah,
Jag
Yin
off.
and Yin's coffee. I know Yin's coffee too,
Yeah,
an
we got jag
institution.
off, which means it's like jack off or jerk. You're like you're
Yeah,
calling someone a name. It's a jag off. Um, we say up there instead of up there for some reason. It's just like
coffee.
part of the accent. And then the Steelers are the Stillers.
Dillers. Yes, I was told about shortening E double E's into I's
Mhm.
and not round to downtown instead of like American would be like downtown. It's
Yeah,
downtown.
yeah, and
Not
it's
very good at it.
the sentence I always say to get people into it is I say, "Are Yins going up there to the Stillers game?" And they're like, "What did you
Are
say?"
you going up there to the Steelers game? Oh,
Yeah, the
are
same.
you?
You get all
Oh, I like that. My one for getting to the American accent, like just general American, is something I think Johnny Depp told Hugh Jackman, which is how many times have you asked Sam whether or not his daughter's learning disorder was caused by a genetic abnormality? And if it sounds like that where I can't do it, I know I'm not in it yet. It's
well,
perfect. But I'm gonna get Lily to send me this recording so then I can hear that sentence again
are
and do
Yins
the
going up
Pittsburgh
there?
accent.
It's very funny because I didn't realize, and then I was listening to Dana, and she is the one who's from Pittsburgh, and every once in a while I'm like, okay, so she is doing the accent, and I can hear it a little bit, but she does the thing that my roommate makes fun of me for, which is I stop myself mid sentence because I'm like, you don't need all of those words, and I just like cut it off, and she's like, I need all of the words you did not say. I don't know where you're going, and I'm like, oh, that's a Pittsburgh thing. Cool, cool, cool. We
I
just
love that level of detail is like being received like that. That's
yeah.
so satisfying.
With a show like this, obviously the finale is happening. That as of this recording, that finale is happening in 7 minutes. And people are watching it as appointment viewing. How has it been for you to kind of be part of a show that people are like making sure they're home in time for, and if they're not, they're like, I'm not watching TV. I don't want to know anything.
It makes me so happy. I miss like old school TV and you'd be like fighting with your siblings over the best seat on the couch and like there'd be an ad break and you'd be like, it's over, and everybody would come running and you'd take turns being that person and watching the ads. Like I miss that because for me, like art is about community. And I think when we binge things, we watch it alone and we go through the whole arc alone and then we talk about it. But I think what's really satisfying about this show and appointment watching, I've never heard appointment viewing as a term before. I love that. Um, is that week by week we're like unpacking the politics and the story and of what's going on. And I think that especially for me, watching the Santos Langdon storyline unfold and watching how people react to her and then going, hang on, but she's right. And how
Mhm.
did we what biases were at play there
Yeah.
and why? And like then enough times passed for you to be like, what was I thinking 5 weeks ago? You know what I mean? Like, and that's really satisfying, I think. And especially with a show like this where so much is actually going on. I know it's one day, but so much happens and you learn so much as an audience and I hope you change so much as an audience that I think the way that it is happening week by week, everybody seeing it at the same time and then being able to discuss and unpack is the best for like our ability to empathize with healthcare workers, which I think is what it's all about.
I 100% agree. When Landon like popped off about the masks, that lady's like, oh, so no masks during your surgery. I was like, yay, he did it. I got so excited about it. For my last quick thing, I just want to ask, do you hope in season two that Mateo breaks his rule and that they can go on an actual date?
Um, he sent me this morning a video, some like a fan edit of us that made me laugh so hard. I ship it. And you know what? When Victoria puts her mind to things, she gets things done. So she seems pretty determined. And I
Yeah.
believe in her, so I believe in them.
Yeah, I need Victoria and Mateo to kiss. I need Collins and Robbie to kiss, and then I will be happy. Everyone else can do whatever they want as long as those four separately kiss. They can all kiss each other if they want, but like separately kiss. That's what I need on the bed. Well,
That's really
thank you,
funny.
thank you so much for talking with me. I love the show. I can't wait to see season two. And can't wait for you to learn how crazy the 4th of July is.
I'm ready to Google. Yes, if any Americans have any information for me, you can reach me on Instagram. Please do. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you
night.
so much. Bye.